Did you know that a single drop of sweat could kill an astronaut on the International Space Station? Earth's protective layer is as thin as a cicada's wing, and with every step beyond it, the universe unveils another layer of deadly peril, from the very air we breathe to the edge of the solar system. Welcome to Enigma Files. Today, we will pass through 8 death thresholds, revealing survival zones that astronauts never dare to speak of. First threshold, 10 kilometers or 6.2 miles, the ozone layer, the lethal baptism of ultraviolet rays. Now, we stand at Earth's final defense line, 10 kilometers or 6.2 miles above the surface, where the ozone layer begins to fade. You think sunlight is just warmth? Think again. Beyond this death threshold, ultraviolet radiation intensifies by 1,000-fold in an instant. Within 10 seconds, your skin would suffer third-degree burns, and your eyeballs, like being tossed into a microwave, would boil and explode. In 1982, Soviet cosmonaut Vladimir Zanabekov suffered a helmet visor breach during a space mission. Just 3 seconds of direct UV exposure twisted his face into a grotesque, melting mass, a horrifying testament to the cruelty of space. And yet, this is the most gentle warning the ozone layer has to offer. What's worse, our cosmic sunscreen is disappearing. Over the past 40 years, the ozone hole over Antarctica expanded to 28 million square kilometers or 10.8 million square miles, 3 times the size of China. If the ozone layer collapses entirely, Earth will become a UV slaughterhouse. Skin cancer rates would skyrocket by 300%. Crops would wither, marine plankton would vanish, and we wouldn't even be able to look at the sun without being blinded. Yet, here's the cruel irony. The thickness of the ozone layer, if compressed, is a mere 3 millimeters or 0.12 inches. Humanity's dream of space exploration, built upon steel and technology, is laughably fragile in the face of the universe's cold indifference. Second threshold, 100 kilometers or 62 miles, the Kármán line, the brutal gate to space. Beyond the 10-kilometer or 6.2-mile death line, we ascend to 100 kilometers or 62 miles, the internationally recognized boundary of space, known as the Kármán line. You think crossing this line means embracing the stars? No, this is where space bears its fangs. Beyond the Kármán line, the atmosphere is so thin that even breathing is an impossible luxury. An untrained person exposed to this environment wouldn't just suffocate. They would literally boil from the inside out. Within 90 seconds, their blood would fizz and bubble like a shaken soda can, lungs would rupture, skin would bloat like a balloon, and in excruciating agony, they would become a frozen corpse drifting in space. This isn't science fiction. It's cold, hard physics. In 2008, during a NASA simulation experiment, a volunteer was accidentally exposed to a near-vacuum environment inside a low-pressure chamber. In just 12 seconds, he lost consciousness. His saliva boiled into bubbles, and his veins swelled like bursting pipes. If not for the emergency rescue, his own boiling blood would have cooked his organs from within. And yet, the thin veil between life and death is laughably fragile. The distance from a Kármán line to Earth's surface is less than 1/60th of Earth's radius. Even with all of humanity's technological advancements, we have not conquered even 1% of the universe's gentle transition zones. But the real nightmare is just beginning. Because if you think breaking past the Kármán line means conquering space, for 100 kilometers or 248 miles above Earth on the International Space Station, a single drop of water is brewing a far deadlier threat. Third threshold, 400 kilometers or 248 miles, International Space Station, the gentle trap. Breaking past the Kármán line, we arrive 400 kilometers or 248 miles above Earth, home to humanity's luxury hotel in space, the International Space Station, ISS. But don't be fooled by its high-tech allure. A gentle trap is waiting to spring. In microgravity, a single drop of water is no longer the essence of life. It's a silent assassin. With surface tension unrestrained by gravity, water forms razor-sharp spheres. If inhaled accidentally, it can slice through your alveoli like a microscopic bomb, tearing apart your respiratory system from within. In 2013, astronaut Luca Parmitano nearly drowned inside his own spacesuit when his helmet began filling with water. The culprit? Not a leak, not a malfunction, but the very moisture he exhaled, coagulating into a liquid blade against his face. And the absurdity doesn't stop there. Even your own sweat can turn against you. In space, perspiration doesn't evaporate. Instead, it clumps into floating toxic spheres, drifting freely through station. These sweat droplets can seep into delicate instruments, short-circuiting vital systems, or worse, blind an astronaut by coating their visor mid-spacewalk. According to NASA reports, the ISS underwent 3 emergency repairs in 2021 alone due to sweat accidents. But the most terrifying threat is the one you can't see. Outside the station, hundreds of thousands of pieces of space debris drift aimlessly, traveling at 7 kilometers or 4.3 miles per second. A screw the size of a fingernail carries the same impact energy as a hand grenade. And what can an astronaut do? Pray that they're not the next unlucky soul in the universe's deadliest game of Russian roulette. You think this is the beginning of humanity's conquest of the stars? No, this is nothing more than the universe's cruel mockery of human ambition. And as we set our sights on the moon, 380,000 kilometers or 236,000 miles away, another deadly illusion awaits, wrapped in a sugar-coated trap. Fourth threshold, 36,000 kilometers or 22,400 miles, geostationary orbit, the satellite graveyard. Leaving behind a gentle death trap of 400 kilometers, we ascend to 36,000 kilometers or 22,400 miles above Earth, the golden zone for communication satellites, yet simultaneously the largest technological graveyard in human history. Here, beyond the peaceful facade of deep space, an invisible killer lurks, the Van Allen radiation belts. These belts, packed with high-energy charged particles, sweep across space like a cosmic machine gun, effortlessly piercing satellite armor and frying intricate circuits. In 2012, the Japanese communications satellite Kizuna suffered a catastrophic system failure due to radiation bombardment. It drifted lifelessly into the void, becoming yet another electronic zombie that still transmits meaningless signals back to Earth. And it's not alone. At least 3,000 such ghost satellites haunt space, their circuits fried, their purpose lost. But the deadliest threat isn't even radiation. It's the ever-growing cloud of space debris. A single screw, moving at 7 kilometers or 4.3 miles per second, impacts with the force of a high-caliber bullet. In 2009, the American Iridium 33 satellite collided with defunct Russian satellite, shattering into 2,300 debris fragments that still hurtle across orbit to this day, like invisible bullets in a silent war. Every collision risks triggering a chain reaction, a scenario scientists call the Kessler syndrome. A future where low Earth orbit turns into a death maze of flying shrapnel, rendering space travel impossible for centuries. But the most suffocating part of this orbital graveyard? It's silence. No alarms, no explosions, only the cold, indifferent glow of tracking numbers on a screen. A single 10-centimeter fragment is enough to turn a $150 million satellite into scrap metal. And humanity? Utterly powerless. We can't even track 98% of the debris surrounding our planet. And yet, we still dream of reaching the moon 380,000 kilometers away, unaware that what awaits us there is a far deadlier, more insidious trap than radiation itself. The fifth threshold, 380,000 kilometers, the moon, the silent, deadly dust. Crossing the 36,000 kilometers satellite graveyard, we finally reach the moon 380,000 kilometers away. Here, there is no air, no sound, only a lifeless expanse of gray. But don't let its stillness deceive you. The moon has prepared a deadly welcome gift for humanity. Lunar dust is a poison meticulously crafted by the cosmos. Forged over billions of years by relentless meteorite impacts, these dust particles are as sharp as glass shards and as fine as nanoscale needles. Apollo 17 astronaut Harrison Schmitt once inhaled this dust, triggering violent coughing and nausea inside his helmet, nearly suffocating him. But what makes it truly lethal is its radioactive isotopes, which act like microscopic bombs, shredding human cells. Even brief skin contact could lead to cancer or organ failure. Yet, the horror of this death dust goes far beyond its toxicity. Without an atmosphere, the moon is charged with static electricity, causing dust to levitate and infiltrate every crevice of a spacesuit like a parasitic plague. During Apollo 11, lunar dust clogged mechanical components in the lander, nearly stranding Armstrong and Aldrin on the moon forever. Scientists have discovered that these dust particles can corrode metal, destroy circuits, and wage a silent war against human technology. And the cruelest irony? This deadly dust is already drifting toward Earth. Nearly 30,000 tons of lunar microdust enter our atmosphere every year, and we still don't know if they carry unknown pathogens. While humanity dreams of moon bases, the moon may already be sowing the seeds of our demise. But the moon's toxic dust is merely an entry-level test. As we set our sights 560 million kilometers away on Mars, the real nightmare begins. The cosmic execution grounds, just a warm-up. From the ultraviolet inferno at 10 kilometers to the deadly dust at 380,000 kilometers, we've pushed through 5 cosmic killing fields, forcing our way forward with technology. But the truth is, this was just the universe's warm-up game. In the next episode, we leave the solar system behind. At 560 million kilometers, cosmic rays will shred your brain like invisible specters. At 780 million kilometers, Jupiter's gravitational grip will crush spacecraft into scrap metal. At 1 light year, at the very edge of the solar system, you will realize that humanity isn't even a speck of dust. And the most chilling mystery, why do all probes mysteriously go silent when they reach this point? Is it the laws of nature, or is it something out there stopping us? Subscribe and turn on notifications so you'll be the first to receive the countdown to extinction in our next video. Remember, Earth is a cradle, but the universe was never a paradise. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to give it a thumbs up, subscribe, and turn on the notification bell. It really means a lot to me. Your support is my biggest motivation to keep creating. Thank you, and see you in the next one.